In the hills above Roslyn, Long Island, once stood a palace that made Europe jealous. A mansion so massive, so absurdly expensive, it was practically engineered to intimidate. A $20 million American castle raised in defiance of the old world, and erased almost as quickly as it rose. Today, most people have never heard the name Harbour Hill. There are no plaques, no preserved gardens, no tours of gilded halls, just silence, as if this architectural titan simply dissolved into the air. But Harbour Hill didn't vanish by accident. Its disappearance was the final act in a very American story. Ambition without limit, wealth without brakes, and the brutal collapse that follows when the world changes faster than fortunes can keep up. This is the rise and fall of a vanished kingdom, a mansion built to last forever, yet remembered by almost no one. To understand Harbour Hill, you have to understand its creator, Clarence Mackay, son of John Mackay, a titan of the Comstock Lode, one of the richest silver strikes in American history. Clarence inherited a fortune so large he could have spent his life buying yachts until the ocean ran out. But Clarence wanted something grander, something permanent, something that would place the Mackay name beside the Astors, Vanderbilts, and Morgans. And during the Gilded Age, there was only one way for a man to do that: build himself a castle. America's elite had become obsessed with Europe. They imported French tapestries, Italian marble, English servants, but Clarence Mackay wanted the whole package. A French chateau on American soil, something that could humiliate the Rothschilds. So he hired Stanford White, the country's most celebrated architect, a man known for turning egos into architecture. White envisioned a 100-room palace perched on the crest of Long Island's highest hill. He called it Harbour Hill, a name that sounded modest only if you were blind. Construction began in the late 1890s. The price tag? A staggering $20 million in today's money. Except that's the understatement of the century. Adjusted properly, the real cost was closer to $400 million. And that didn't include the art, furnishings, or the army of workers needed to keep the estate running. Mackay wasn't just building a house, he was planting the flag of a self-made American dynasty. By 1902, Harbour Hill stood complete. Limestone walls glowing white in the sun, terraced gardens cascading toward the horizon, and rooms large enough to make European diplomats sweat. It was the newest crown jewel of America's aristocracy, but the real spectacle had only just begun. Harbour Hill became the Mackay's stage, and Clarence's wife, Catherine Dewar Mackay, became its leading star. Catherine was everything the Gilded Age loved: wealthy, beautiful, scandal-ready, and more intelligent than polite society wanted to admit. The Mackays threw parties so extravagant they made the Vanderbilts nervous. There were banquets where ambassadors replaced neighbors, galas where Tiffany-designed fireworks lit the gardens, evenings that cost more than a factory worker made in a decade. Even royalty took notice. When the future King George VI visited America, he stayed not at the White House, but at Harbour Hill, because apparently even monarchs understood the assignment. But wealth doesn't protect you from drama. The Mackay marriage was already fraying. Catherine was too modern, too ambitious. She became a suffragist, a reformer, and eventually pursued a divorce, one of the biggest scandals of its time. And while Clarence kept hosting the power brokers of America, the cracks in the dynasty were widening. Harbour Hill was still glowing on the outside, but something inside the walls had started to shift. The story was no longer just about wealth. It was about how quickly wealth, even outrageous wealth, can start slipping through your fingers. By the 1920s, America was changing. The Gilded Age was dead. The Jazz Age was loud, reckless, and unforgiving. Estates like Harbour Hill suddenly seemed outdated, even embarrassing. Who wanted Versailles when you could have a Manhattan penthouse? Then came the Great Depression. Maintenance on Harbour Hill cost the modern equivalent of millions per year. Clarence's fortunes were declining, taxes were suffocating, staff had to be dismissed, whole wings of the house were shut down. Rooms once filled with laughter now sat in darkness, collecting dust. And tragedy struck the family repeatedly. Clarence's finances collapsed. His beloved daughter, Ellen, married Irving Berlin, which ignited yet another round of public drama. Catherine remarried and disappeared from the estate's life entirely. Harbour Hill became a relic in real time. By the 1930s, Clarence could barely keep the lights on. A palace built to shout power now whispered desperation. When Clarence Mackay died in 1938, Harbour Hill's fate was sealed. The estate was worth less as a home than as raw land. The fall was complete. In 1947, the unthinkable happened. Harbour Hill was sold for demolition. No preservationists, no protests, no newspaper crusades. America didn't care. The country was looking forward, not back. Piece by piece, stone by stone, the palace that once rivaled Europe was dismantled. Marble dumped, timber sold for scrap, gardens leveled, a dynasty's monument reduced to rubble in a matter of months. Today, the highest hill on Long Island hosts suburban homes, driveways, and lawns. Somewhere beneath them lie fragments of Harbour Hill's foundations, buried, forgotten. How does a $400 million mansion vanish almost without a trace? Because America threw away the Gilded Age as fast as it built it. The country shed its aristocratic fantasies and embraced a new identity, streamlined, modern, efficient, and allergic to nostalgia. Harbour Hill became a casualty of cultural amnesia. Harbour Hill was more than a mansion. It was a monument to ambition, ego, beauty, and excess. A dream carved into stone on a hilltop meant to last forever. But nothing lasts forever. What remains is a cautionary tale about the fragility of legacy, a reminder that even the greatest monuments can crumble when the world decides it no longer needs them. And maybe that's the haunting part. Harbour Hill didn't explode or burn or rot. It simply slipped from memory, erased not by disaster but by indifference. A vanished palace, a forgotten kingdom, a story reclaimed only by those willing to look back and wonder how something so grand could disappear so completely.